Okay, so we're gonna start out with a tower here. It's a MSI. It's a Tactical Series TC128. This is the box. The tower's here. I'm gonna put this aside. You see the tower's here, shipped like that from the factory. Pretty basic shell, just an empty core. I'm gonna take the plastic off here, and then you can see the inside there of the back, where everything's gonna be set up in on the inside. And you can see how it's all going to sit in there nice. And you can see the wires are already pre-installed by the manufacturer, so they're plugged into all your front ports. Now, also we have the hardware that we're going to install, which is over here. And I have it all boxed up right here. So we're going to grab that and I'll explain to you what we got here. Sure, I have it on the table already, but anyway. Okay, so right here we have a cooling fan right here. Now this one is got a heat sink on it. It's also, if you notice, these have LEDs in them, so we'll actually have a backlit of blue LEDs lights in the tower. So when it's running, the CPU is running, it will light up blue on certain parts of the components, the fans. And some parts of the other hardware that are here. Also, we got the processor here, which is the A series AMD. It's the A10 5800K. As you can see it here, everything's boxed up, so I'm going to set that aside here. And then we have, these are parts for the tower. These are going to be like screws and anything, fastening devices that we might need on the inside. It's got everything packed in there. So we're going to set this aside right now on the tower for now. Then we also have, of course, one of the most important things is your motherboard, which is here. Motherboard you can't do anything without, because the motherboard is your whole circuitry that's involved in the whole CPU process of it working, period. As you can see, this is the ASRock FM2A75 M-GS. It shows you on the front the sockets what it's compatible with. It's compatible with 7 and it would be compatible with 8 as well. And you can see everything's nicely packed in here. Now also, you got your warranty information. Now, very importantly, before you start doing anything with the computers, you want to get yourself a magnetic wrist strap, which you can see I have here. This has a plate on the inside of the wrist strap. Now what you want to do with this is when you start installing components, you want to ground the chassis of the computer. So what I'll do is, before I start installing the chips and anything, I'll ground myself to the chassis with this other clip here, and then the CPU would be plugged into the wall. Very important, because things in computer components are very, very sensitive to static electricity. You don't want to use static electricity. You don't want to short anything out, because you can ruin a lot of things in the computer. You'll notice that some things, when you buy them from the manufacturer, especially when it comes to cards, video cards, sound cards, they'll have a magnetic or metallic looking type of paper, and that's anti-static paper that is packaged in to prevent any static buildup, so you don't short anything out. What you can see here is an example of it right here. Here's the hard drive. You can see the paper here looks like a kind of like a foil. You see this here? This is anti-static paper, and you can see it even says on the, if you can see it there, it says handle with care, and it says static shield bag. I don't know if you can read it, they're probably not. So you want to use very much care. And also too, with the hard drives, when you do handle them, try not to bounce them around a lot, because they are very, they can be very sensitive to vibration, and if you drop them or anything, you could actually ruin the whole hard drive. Because it does write on the hard drive does write to itself using static electricity. That's what writes the hard disk. Also here, there's another fan. What's important, what you want to do, especially this PC here, what we're building here, is a gaming PC. So what's important about this to know is that it's going to use a lot of power and it's going to get hot very quickly. So the important thing to do with this one is you always want to have it cooled, very cool, because it's going to run hot. So always recommend, even on a regular house computer for whatever, if you don't want it to overheat, always have 2 fans. You're going to have one sucking in cool air and you're going to have one blowing out the hot air. So most towers will actually come with one installed too by itself. But you could always throw more on there. You can see the tower has one back in here already, as you see the blue one. So now we have 2 more, which is this one here, and then the first one I showed you, which was this one. Now this one's important right here because this is actually going to cool down your processor and keep it from overheating. Then we have the CD-ROM drive, which is here. I'm going to set that aside over here. Then we have, ta-da! What this is your memory. Now what's important with memory is that the more you have, a lot faster your PC will run as long as your processor is working good. Now this one is for extreme performance. It is a good rated memory chip. There's 2 of them in here, and they'll slot into the board separately. But each one of these is it's a DDR3, and they're also will probably give you a lot more power when it comes to especially when it comes to gaming, because your response time will be a lot quicker, especially when it has to store things in memory. This right here, of course, is your power supply. Power supply, you can't do anything without power supply because your computer won't go on, period. They tend to be a little bit heavier. They are a power supply, so they do have a transformer in them. These are pretty basic. I mean, they're pretty durable, but they also will have a fan built into them, so they do get warm too. But I recommend always on any type of computer, when you're using, especially if you use it a lot, periodically take a vacuum to it and clean off the vents on the back. You can see as you have back here, because they get filled with air, with dust, and it restricts the air flow. Therefore, it can cause your PC to heat up really quick, and then therefore it will crash. Now, see, we got this, we got everything to the side. Then, most importantly, since we are building this from scratch, what you don't see here is the monitor and stuff, because I'll bring that out later. But the main thing is to get the tower built. But you can't. Once I put all this stuff in, the computers will go on, but it's not going to do much unless it has an operating system. So you need to have that also and install that. And right here, we're going to install the basic Windows 7 Home Premium. So once everything gets built in, fired it up, it powers up to the main screen. I'll put in the disk and it should self-install it. Windows 7 is pretty simple to use. It practically does itself. Prior operating systems were a little bit more difficult, especially when it came to XP. If you had XP, you know what I'm talking about. Vista, well, who really cares about Vista? Because Vista, everybody didn't want Vista once it came out anyway, so they wanted something new anyway. Okay, so we're going to get started here. And make sure you keep your device drivers, like this CD-ROM, for example. It comes with this board. Now, what's important about this, if you don't have this CD-ROM, this has all the information on it that's going to allow the computer to work with the other devices and work with Windows. If it doesn't have this, it's going to have a lot of trouble. So you need to have that. If you don't have it, if you lose it, if you get a second-hand board or whatnot, always try to go on the card, look at the manufacturer, and go to the website, get the model number off your board, which will be located somewhere on there if you don't have it in a box, and then just go straight to the manufacturer and put in that board model number. Okay, we're going to get started here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to move this stuff around a little bit.